But first, we're going to go back to the NFL. And today, it was reported on NFL.com by Jim Trotter that the league is going to present a couple of resolutions to the Rooney Rule in an effort to help the league hire more coaches of color. Right now, 3 of the last 20 head coaching hires were of a person of color. Last year, they had 5 openings. Only 1 went to a person of color. And in the league of 32 teams, 2 general managers are of color. And the league understands that that's not enough. And so this proposal is going to be put forth, and Rob G is going to explain it in a succinct manner.
That's right. Now, this is the way it's set up. If you hire a black coach and he's there at least 1 season, then your 3rd-round pick will go up 6 slots.
Well, the rule won't work then because you got to be there for more than 1 year, right?
It'll go up 6 slots. If you hire a
remember Steve Wilkes,
right?
That's right.
And year. Was Van there 1 or 2?
No, I think he
Vance
got 2
Joseph
years in
was
Denver,
2, I
right?
think. Yeah.
Rob G.
Yeah, I think it was.
Vance
I think it was
Joseph
2.
was 2.
Now, if they hire a minority executive, most likely a general manager, and he's there at least a year, it'll go up 10 slots in the 3rd round, wherever you're picking. If you hire them both in the same season and they're both there at least 1 year, you can go up 16 slots, which means if you're picking at the top of the 3rd round, you're suddenly picking in the middle of the 2nd round.
All right. I'll take the first stab at it, Rob.
I want to give Rob G a quick quiz. First Hispanic coach to win the Super Bowl in NFL history.
Tom Flores.
All right. Okay. All right, Chris. We can go forward.
This obviously isn't ideal. You know, you hate to put something in like this. But let's just face it. The owners have shown. They've proven that they're not going to just hire coaches based on merit. Now, again, let Joe Judge, new Giants coach, he may turn out to be great. I have no idea. None of us have any idea. What I am saying, though, is that his resume, which is it's supposed to be about your resume, what you've done, your qualifications, he comes up woefully short. Special teams coach at Alabama for 3 years, special teams coach in New England with the Patriots for 8 years. Last year, special teams / wide receiver. That's it. You've got African-American coaches who have paid their dues, who have done tremendous jobs, who have been under great coaches. Eric Bieniemy comes to mind, but there's more. You know, he's the offensive coordinator with Kansas City, obviously did a great job with them. Matt Nagy preceded him, got a head job. Doug Peterson preceded Nagy, got a head job. And Bieniemy comes up short. You know, Byron Leftwich is out there. Jim Caldwell, Rob, we mentioned, it's Detroit, for goodness sake. And in Detroit, he made the playoffs 2 out of 4 seasons. And they told him winning 9 games was not enough, and they brought in Matt Patricia. He's won 9 games in 2 years. You know, so I hate that you would have to resort to something like this, but it's been proven time and time again that unless forced, some people in society will not give people of color the equal opportunity. And we had a caller in the first hour, Rob, say, you can't change people's hearts. You're right. You cannot change people's hearts. But you know what? You can make a law that will force them to do the right thing. When the laws were changed in the 60s, the civil rights, to grant civil rights to African Americans, whites' hearts didn't change overnight. There are some that still haven't changed. But you put in laws that could legislate against overt discrimination. And it's been that way the entire time. Gosh, I wish we didn't need the 13th Amendment that ended slavery. I wish we didn't need the 15th Amendment that was supposed to give us the right to vote. But then we needed the Voting Rights Act of 1965. I wish we didn't need affirmative action, but we did. My father was a beneficiary of that. In that first wave of African-American college graduates hired in the early 70s given a corporate job. He was qualified, graduated with a degree in business, qualified, got the job, did a great job, raised a good family. I'll benefit, my kids benefit. But had it not been for a law, affirmative action, that some thought was unfair, he never would have got the chance, even though he was qualified. And so, look, I don't know if they're going to pass this thing because it does seem strange, but I don't know what else you can do. You can't just trust the goodness of the owner's heart to do the right thing and look at qualified candidates.
I'm going to jump in, and I'm going to say, shame on the NFL. Shame on the black players that make up the majority of the league for allowing this to continue to happen, Chris. It's not an issue in the NBA where they've had many of black coaches and general managers and the same thing. We've had a number in baseball, not enough, but we've had a number. We just talked about the first black general manager in baseball was back in the 70s, 1976. So there's been a number of people through the years. Not enough, but there have been some. And for this to still be a problem, no other sport have they had to legislate and make rules to make people interview people. At one point, it was so ludicrous and so ridiculous, jobs would open up. They wouldn't even interview a black assistant coach or a coordinator. So they came up with the Rooney Rule. Now here we are, 2020. And they want to add what I'm now calling the Loonie Rule.
Tom Looney.
That's right. The Loonie Rule is so loony that they want to have like an incentive, give a coupon and cookies or a draft pick. If you get a black guy, hire a black guy, we'll give you a coupon. You can move up in the draft. How insulting. How embarrassing. And Chris, this is the worst part.
To, though? It's
insulting to all the black coaches who have worked their asses off for an opportunity.
Yeah, but it's not their fault.
No, but it's insulting.
It should be insulting to the owners that something like this has to be done to get them to open up their minds.
But it compromises and makes people feel like you're giving these guys something that they don't really deserve. That's why it's insulting. These guys have played the game, studied the game. They know the game. And you know what, Chris? Here's the other part. The N in NFL stands for nepotism. You want to go around?
Yes.
I want somebody to go and do their homework.
And it ain't just
And look
the
at
NFL.
all these damn coaches.
Look at all these leagues.
All of them. They all hire their kids. In the NFL, if you want to know how to make it to be an assistant coach, either your dad hires you, Chris, or he makes a phone call to one of his coaching colleagues and said, give my boy a job on your staff. That's how those guys get hired. And then all of a sudden, guys who haven't even played, they once had, what was the guy's name in Kansas City? I know I was going to forget his name. Who didn't even play football, who made it as an NFL head coach. He played golf in college, but his dad was an NFL coach. And I'll remember the name.
See if Rob G can get that.
I'll remember the name. And he had problems with football players pushed back, but he played golf in college and became an NFL head coach because his dad was. And my point is, we're not in that position. And if a black guy, Mike Tomlin, wanted to hire all his family and friends, they would frown upon that.
Todd
and it
Haley,
happens
Rob.
every day.
Todd
What is it,
Haley.
Todd Haley? Right. Chris, did you hear Todd Haley played golf in college? He became an NFL head coach. And these are the things that I'm talking about. We're not asking for a handout or some charity case. How dare these owners thumb their noses down at the same guys who play the game and excel, and black people and Hispanic people and minorities have up and down rewritten the record books in the NFL and help that game grow to be what it is. And then you're going to have the nerve to say, we're good enough to play but not good enough to coach or run a team. It ain't right. And the players shouldn't allow it. Forget the rules. Forget about that. Don't go play on organizations that don't give minorities opportunities. You
Let me
want to
throw
change
this-
their minds? That's how you change their minds, Chris.
Let me throw this at you, Rob, and I hear you, and I think ultimately we're on the same page. But I don't look at like if they go through with this rule, and an African American coach is hired, and I won't look at him, and I don't think he should look at it like I only got the job because we got draft picks, improvements and all that stuff, and others shouldn't look at him like that either. Because you understand the playing field is not level.
Chris, you're
so
logical,
you're doing this. You're doing this
different.
to, this is being done to level the playing field. You just mentioned it. Todd Haley played golf.
That's unbelievable.
Was he qualified? I mean, we're looking at him like, how in the world did this dude get it? My point is, people got to understand, black people are not the only beneficiaries of affirmative action. There has been affirmative action in this country for whites ever since the country existed and before America as we know it existed on this land. That's just a proven fact. And so for anyone to act like it's just blacks who have gotten these types of quotas, and that's ridiculous. Because how many whites have been hired just because they're white? Because they either weren't considering somebody else or nepotism
or they
whatever
knew somebody,
it may have been.
or they got their foot in the door, and that's all. We're talking about how in the world could a country be 70% white and the NFL be 70% black? I'll tell you right now, Chris, if the NHL, which is what 90%, 95% white, right?
Right.
If the NHL had 90% black coaches, wouldn't you look at that and go, this doesn't make any sense? If 90% of the coaches in the NHL were black, what would you say?
No,
this
it
makes
would be
no
odd
sense.
Looking. Right. It would be odd looking.
So why
it's
don't
different
people look at it this
situations
way?
Because of his history of the country. Why is every owner white? Or, essentially, there's I know there's the one of color, but that's the history of this country.
No,
and so here's what I'll throw out at you, Rob, quickly. I get what you're saying about the players. We both love to see them stand up for it, but let's assume they don't, because let's be honest,
their history,
they probably
Chris,
won't.
is that
Right.
their history is that they're weak
going
and
to.
they won't do it.
So let's say they don't do that. What would you, in place of this rule, what would you suggest? That we just wait it out and hope for the best, or that they put something in to get us in the door and we can prove? We shouldn't have to prove it at this point. It's been proven. Should have never even had to be proven in the first place. But to those that needed it, it's been proven.
Chris,
and
there are plenty of companies in this country where you can't hire relatives. How about starting there to stop hiring relatives? You know that. There are plenty of companies, if there's somebody related to you, Chris, they can't work there. Nepotism.
If you just did teams, you'd have to do the whole league.
No, that's what I'm saying. Stop nepotism.
Right. And I wouldn't even like to go there because, Kyle Shanahan, his dad, Mike, he deserves a shot, but he got to work his way up like everybody else. That's
But
what
Chris,
you know what I'm saying?
But that's
if
why
we can't,
it's done like
again,
that.
Can we get
companies, though? I know what you're saying, but they know what happens time and time again.
No,
if
you're
your
right.
dad is a coach, all he has to do is make a phone call, Chris. Some guy he gave a chance to down the road, right? My son's getting into coaching. Can you put him on your staff? Boom.
Oh, yeah. No
he has
question.
instant credibility, doesn't he?
No question. Yes. And here, Rob, and look, let's just keep it real. Look at the history of the NFL. At first, blacks could only be running backs and wide receivers and cornerbacks. Couldn't be a safety. You got to think too much. Linebacker, middle linebacker, think too much. Quarterback, no, don't even think about that.
You couldn't even be a center, Chris.
Right. Any of those positions, we just was the speed, And then, obviously things opened up, and the last bastion was quarterback. Let's keep it real. The last bastion was quarterback, and now you see those doors have opened, and how many of the best? Patrick Mahomes, Deshaun Watson, Russell Wilson. I mean, how many of the best quarterbacks in the league are African American? So every obstacle in this sport, every advancement, there's been an obstacle.
But the difference is on the field, as you talked about earlier in the show, Chris. You can't fudge it.
That's
if
the
other
ultimate
guy,
meritocracy, right?
Right. You can't fudge it. You might want the white guy to be your quarterback. He ain't good enough. This other guy's better. Do you know what I mean? Like, you can't fudge that.
Right.
You could fudge but hiring a coach or a general manager. You just said it. The guy judge in New York, right?
Because it's largely a guessing game anyway, right? You don't know if the guy's going to be a good head coach or not.
You don't
so all
know.
we can go off, all we should go off of is qualifications. Or if he's got this great winning personality that wins you over, something like that. But you can't go by what we're doing now. So that's all I'm saying. I'm with you. I don't like you hate that it would have to come to this, but something's got to be done. All right, let's see what you guys think. 877-99 on Fox, 877-996-6369. Are these proposed resolutions to the NFL's Rooney Rule a good idea? Your turn to weigh in next. Odd Couple, Fox Sports Radio.
Jeff in Kentucky, you're on the Odd Couple, Fox Sports Radio.
I'll be real quick and make room. First, I want to say thank you, and it's an honor to be on here. Y'all are top tier at what y'all do, and I've been following the show from the beginning.
Thank you.
Thank you, man. We appreciate that.
I appreciate y'all because y'all get me through while I'm driving this big truck. First things first, we all know that discrimination is real, and we've seen it throughout the decades in different industries. We all know who the owners of these programs and these sports and these industries are. I'm going to say this. Jews aren't white. And if LeBron really wants to stand out, he would talk about Margaret Sanger, Planned Parenthood, and eugenics. I'll hang up and listen. Thanks, guys.
All right, he's going
that's
deep.
too much. That's
He said his piece. All right, we appreciate the support. Yeah.
Daniel in Mississippi, you're on the Odd Couple, Fox Sports Radio.
Hey, guys, good to talk to you again. Look, I like that guy from Kentucky, but I'm going to stick to what you were talking about with the NFL.
Yes.
And look, the owners have found loopholes for years on all these silly rules they try to implement. You're not going to change people's hearts. They're going to find a loophole, and the loophole is just going to be they're going to hire a black coach, get the nice draft pick, and when they see any kind of snippet of justification for firing him, they're just going to fire him after they get that draft pick. So that's what I think.
He's right in that
Daniel,
they have thought through these loopholes. We've
seen it.
But it's just what else? How else you gonna get them to hire black coaches? It's sad, Rob. You're right. It's sad that it has to come to something like this.
Right, but that's why I say that
like this.
It has to be like players, and I get it, Chris, trying to organize these guys. They can't even get organized to get great health care. So how are they going to worry about some coach that doesn't affect their life? Do you know what I mean? But ultimately, that's them down the road when they need a job. That's the part that they don't get. There will come a time when you or your teammate is going to need a gig. What about Sean in Sacramento? You're on the Odd Couple, Fox Sports Radio. What's up, Sean?
My uncle's from another mother, man. I'm going to keep it tight because I know y'all tight on time, man. But this is just the American story, man. They tell us all the time, you work hard, you're going to get to where you need to be. As long as you comply, the police won't do nothing to you, man. The way I look at it is, as long as we're able to get our foot in the door, even if it's just a token, as long as we're able to get in there, we could show our worth, man. We could show our abilities, just like Mike Tomlin did when he went in with the Steelers. That was the original Rooney Rule right there. He got in there, he got them to the Super Bowl, and he made things happen. And as long as we're able to get that opportunity, that's the biggest thing we need because we're always going to be worth our value, man. Thank you, fellas, for doing this.
Thanks,
Sean.
Good
Good call. And the thing I understand, Rob, is whites get affirmative action too. And have historically. So
first
that's
of all,
what I'm saying.
Chris, I'm glad you brought that up.
Anybody that wants to be like, oh, well, you just getting a job because, you were black. Well, how many whites just got a job because they were white?
But Chris,
because they wouldn't consider anybody else.
And if you go do your real research, the biggest beneficiary of affirmative action were white women.
Yes.
White women got more jobs, corporate job, CEO job, bigger jobs than they ever have. It wasn't us. We only make up 13% of the population.
And
it
Rob,
wasn't.
Who are most white women married to? A white man.
Yes.
Most. And so the white American family has actually benefited from affirmative action more than blacks and other people.
Absolutely.
So
It's
I mean,
not a
let's
black
keep
or
it real.
Hispanic
Right.
thing. Let's stop with the whole
It's
notion.
about fairness.
Yes,
it's about
indeed.
fairness.
And for for a long time, women couldn't get those jobs, Chris. Couldn't
Right.
get the big jobs. They
Right.
couldn't get them either. Noah in Cincinnati, you're on the Odd Couple Fox Sports Radio. What's up, Noah?
How you guys doing?
What's up, man?
Doing good.
So I just think this is an unfortunate situation. I mean, I agree that African Americans should get more opportunity, but I just don't think this is the way to do it. I just feel like it punishes teams with proven like white head coaches, like the Chiefs, the Patriots, the Niners, like all those teams that have coaches that are proven, have been to Super Bowl. Like, I just don't think this is the right way to do it. I'm not sure how to fix it, but
you identified there's a problem,
right.
Noah.
yeah, I obviously, yeah, there's definitely a problem. Like, they should definitely give the African Americans more opportunity to head coach and be executives. It's crazy, but I don't know if this is the way.
It's
Up in the draft.
unfortunate
Okay.
because,
All right.
as he said,
Noah,
it does
thanks for the call.
it can be viewed as punishment for them. But on the flip side, Rob, you say, well, how many black coaches have been punished simply because of the
right.
color of their skin?
I
Not getting
totally,
opportunity.
and that's what you have to look at.
Right.
You're right. You're right. And sometimes in trying to reverse things that were done to people, not for any other reason, but the color of their skin, other people are going to be hurt too on the other side. But you got to fix it. You got to somehow try to fix it. How about Trucker Justin in Illinois? You're on the Odd Couple, Fox Sports Radio. What's up, Trucker Justin?
Evening, gentlemen.
What's up?
Where's
man?
the horn?
There it is. That's a good one, too. He got
Nice.
a strong one. All right.
I couldn't agree with you more, Rob. I really think this is a very silly rule. I think the only way that this is going to change is a generational die-off of owners because, as somebody had said before, you can't change people's hearts, but as generations change, people start changing their understanding of the human race. And I think it kind of reminds me, I'll be real quick, but this reminds me of the federal minimum wage law when it was first enacted. And has a lot of deep racist roots behind it that most people don't really remember.
No, I appreciate it. Trucker Justin, thank you. Thanks for the historical context as well. Zach in South Dakota, you're on the Odd Couple Fox Sports Radio. What's up?
Hey, guys. Thanks for having me. Long-time listener.
Thank you.
Biggest thing that I want to talk about was kind of just from a younger guy's perspective. I'm a coach. I'm 27 years old, and I don't see color as an issue with my generation. I feel like the older generation continues to just kind of keep bringing it up. Like, I don't want to sound like bad in any way, but like almost to a thing where can we just get past the point where you continue to bring up the wrong message per se, to where we look at it as, at least with my generation, I think, I don't even see this as an issue because I got friends of every race, every color. I mean, I played sports my whole life. This kind of just who I am type deal,
Zach,
you know?
Yep. And Zach, when you, I mean, to even hear something like this, I mean, and you say you're in coaching, and it's about who you know a lot of it and how you get opportunities, and that's how black guys have not. Am I right? Have not, and that's.
Oh
how
yes,
you
sir.
get
You're
in.
100% right.
So that's the part.
And I love Zach. Obviously, his heart that's in the right place, and I'm sure he's sincere. But the past does impact the present, Rob.
No,
it does.
We know that.
Old money, all this. The old money is from a lot of historic racism.
No doubt about it.
That
Mark in
blacks didn't have
Sacramento,
the
I want you
opportunity
jump
to
in.
bring up that old money. That impacts present reality, so we can't lose sight of that.
Mark in Sacramento, what you got?
What's going on, gentlemen?
What's up, man?
Yeah, here's the voice of reason. He's been around forever. Let's hear what you think about this.
Sometimes.
Well, I'm kind of glad Chris just said right at that point is that this has been around forever. And owners, I agree with you, Rob. I'm kind of insulted to think that this is going to happen. I'll tell you exactly what coaches are going to do. They're just going to say, we don't want to. If they don't want to hire a black man, they're just going to say, we got the player we wanted at the spot we got it. We didn't need the draft picks anyway.
Exactly.
That's what's going to happen. Hey, Rob, I got a question for you. Didn't Jim Caldwell get fired in Detroit after he won 10-6, and they brought in Matt Patricia because he was connected to Bill Belichick, and he hasn't had a winning season since.
Chris
He
brought
was
up the
9-7
numbers.
back to back.
Bob Quinn came from the general manager of the Lions. Bob Quinn worked at the Patriots.
Right.
And he said when Caldwell was 9-7, made the playoffs, that 9-7 wasn't good enough for the Lions anymore, and they wanted better. And now Matt Patricia, Chris, has won 9 games in 2 years.
Right. 3 this year.
Right?
Just that
It's getting
connection we're
worse.
talking about.
Yep.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
and that's the problem. And they have their guys. They keep hiring their friends. The nepotism is horrible in the NFL. We got to stop all this. It's bad. It's bad.